Wait, are minor and major scales actually the same thing? This is what we're going to talk about today because this definitely confused me when I was studying music in university. And I remember we were learning about minor harmony. And I said to the lecturer, like, why are we learning about the minor as its own separate entity? Isn't it simply just the sixth degree of the major scale? And he kind of looked at me like confused and he didn't answer me. So maybe it was a stupid question, but we're going to go into it today because if I didn't know, maybe other people don't know, and now we'll all know. So make yourself comfortable, grab a tea or a coffee if you want, and we're going to learn about the nuances, the differences, and also the similarities between the major and the minor keys or scales. So to give a little bit more context for anyone who's unsure about major and minor, like the relative minor scales, have a look at this circle of fifths diagram. All of the keys on the outer rim represent your major keys or scales. So F, C, G, D, A, and so on. They're all of your major keys. There's 12 of them. And then you have a look at the inner rim, you have all of their relative minors. So the little m next to those keys represent minor. So C and A minor are counterparts, G and E minor, D, B minor, and so on. So that means that both C and A minor share the same key signature. So have a look at the key signature. It's the treble clef with the stave across it. C and A minor have nothing in the key signature. So you just play white notes, no sharps or flats. C major. A minor, its counterpart, starting on the sixth degree. That's another thing, we always start on the sixth degree of the major scale to unlock its relative minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you simply start your minor, your natural minor scale from there. So both the C and the A minor have no sharps or flats, but let's have a look at F, for example. F has one flat in the key signature, a B flat. So that means when we're playing the scale of F, we have to include a B flat. And the same thing goes for D minor. We're playing the exact same scale, same notes. B flat is inside of it, but all the other notes are white notes. By the way, I created a little digital handout where I have all 12 major scales and their relative minor counterpart written, so it's very visually clear the relationship between both and also the fingers that you use for both hands. So if you're interested in that and you want to learn more about your scales, if you're a producer wanting to branch into different keys, if you're a piano player yourself, if you're a composer, check that out. It's free and it's in the link below. So even though each major and its relative minor counterpart share the same notes, just sequencing and starting from a different point of view, they do sound very different. They each have their own distinct emotional signature. So just listen to a major scale now, and what is the feeling, what's evoked within you? What does it sound like when you hear the C major scale? And a little melody. And now listen to the relative minor. Like the natural minor for me is a bit more like, have you got the thing? I need it right now. If you do not give it, I will get it somehow. Whereas the major feels a bit more like, yes, I have the thing. It's very beautiful. With a loving heart, I give it to you. You know, it has a different emotional signature or a different emotional resonance. And what causes this emotional resonance? It is perspective. So another way of calling or describing perspective would be tonal center, root, home, key, the dominant frequency. They're all the same thing. It's basically what note are you returning to most often? That's going to give you the perception of tonality. If I keep returning back to C, and if I keep making C home, it's going to feel like it's in the key of C. Even though I hang out here, it feels like I want to return home to C. Therefore, that's kind of solidifying the emotional signature. Sometimes I don't even have to start on C to make it the home. It can actually just be that I'm returning to C more often. Whereas if I play a song with A minor becoming the tonal center that I keep amplifying and reinforcing, this is what happens. But how about if you have minor harmony with major? What happens then? Like, let's start like 1, 3, 5, 3, 1, 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. And then if I pair that with like, that doesn't really sound major anymore, even though I am 1. So your harmony is also going to have an influence on how it's perceived, which is another amazing thing. If I was reinforcing that melody with major harmony, it would sound different. C major chord. And just erase that from your brain. Minor harmony. It's obviously more complicated because I'm keeping with one chord in, the left hand to keep it simple. But even if you move around chords, you'll feel this perception of where it's trying to associate and where it's trying to almost set up home. That's what it feels like. The song is like telling you this is where home is. So if we look at it through theory, it's because of the intervallic relationship of the notes. So a major scale is always following the same formula, which is a whole step, half step. That's a half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So if you apply that formula to any note, if I just go like E, and if I apply that formula here, I will get the E major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That's a half step. You apply that to wherever you land and you create a major scale from it. So it's a very handy way of learning your scales. But then the natural minor scale, it has a different relationship because you're starting on a different point of the sequence. We are now starting here on the 6th, like 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But now we don't have whole step, half step. We have whole step, half step, straight in there with a half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So this change in starting point changes the entire sequence that follows and therefore how we perceive a scale or a key in music. So again, it's about where it's returning home to most often. It's important for me to point out too, though, that you're never glued to major or minor when you're writing or you're playing a song. So oftentimes a song will fluctuate in tonality, sometimes drifting more towards major and then sometimes drifting more towards minor. That happens all the time. And when I'm writing music, like I very rarely think about if I'm in major or minor because I'm a lot more like free and I love kind of going in between and dancing between both because it's almost as nuanced as our human emotions, Sometimes we're happy and we're sprightly, but then we have the nuances of sometimes feeling a bit more introverted or whatever the emotion is. So as an example, let me start a little improvisation in the key of G. Its relative minor is E minor, but let's first establish the G majorness of it. And now, what if I drift into minor? Minor. B minor. Back to E minor. So you have a choice. Like you're never really you're not boxed in once you start a song even. And that happens all the time in songs where like you have major and then it goes minor because it just it's human, We're very nuanced as humans. So we like hearing that in music also. Funnily enough, I feel like learning major and its relative minor has helped me deepen my empathy for humanity. So it's almost like we all get the exact same objective reality, like this is the world. But depending on your own unique vantage point, you could see things in a very happy, sprightly light. Or you could see things a bit more dark. even though we have the exact same objective reality, we all experience it differently. So sometimes when I don't agree with someone or someone says something and I'm like, really, how do they see it that way? Automatically, a piano is just superimposed into my psyche, and it's like, oh, we're just two different points of a scale, you know? Like they're seeing it from their own unique position. Where they perceive reality from and where I perceive reality from is different. So therefore, we're going to have different realities. So yeah, feel free to like and subscribe or leave a comment. And if you do want that scale sheet, it's in the description. And I've also got this lovely, very simple, short mini course where it just walks you through all of your major and minor scales. If you want the visual aid, it's very affordable, but that's there also for you. So thank you so much for watching. Slán leat a corda, that's the Irish for goodbye, friends, and have a lovely day and God bless.